Hey, Honey Wash Day. This is Toksa Hour. I am Maggie Ross, and I am live from Porcupine, South Dakota, where the porcupines roam along the Porcupine Creek. We're just waiting on Chas. Gotta mute that. I didn't realize I gotta figure that out here.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go.
Hello. Hi. Hey. Hi. Can
Got it.
you can you hear me? You can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
I
good. All
have,
right, because I'm so sorry. I was updating my well, anyway, we're updating our computers and in involved in it was my camera. And so I right before 9 o'clock I was getting ready, or before we were getting ready to go, I realized I had unhooked one of the things for my phone. Anyway, I'm so sorry. How are you?
happens. It happens. I tell you,
Yeah,
Dope Hour has probably a year full of technical glitches and problems. So yeah,
right
we
on.
understand.
Right on. How's it going? It's cold up here. It's cold up here.
Cold down here too, but not too bad. I mean, I'm a winter person, so um, I wish we had a lot more snow.
Yeah, we need more snow. But I think it's 11 degrees below zero now. And my nephews are on their way to Bison, Harding County, to play wrestling, or to not play wrestling. I don't know,
To
to
play wrestling,
wrestle. To
to
wrestle,
wrestle.
I guess is what they say. They don't say play wrestling. Um, I just got them phones, and now they call me Aunt Jazz, and with the ant, like the ant, the whatever, the literal insect is how they Aunt Chaz. That's how they call me. I'm like, whatever, because they can't call me Chaz because they'll be disrespectful, but they throw the insect in front of it to thinking that that's better. But
Well,
anyway.
how you're supposed to say it? I say auntie.
Yeah, no, anti-jazz. That's, I mean, they could say it however they want, but they've substituted the emoticon or whatever you call it, the insect. So yeah, so it's like it's like a picture of an
Well,
ant, and my name.
well,
So
ants will rule the world, right?
well, we are trying to.
Isn't that the whole cartoon?
Well, and with Luigi now taking out the big man, maybe
Yeah.
I
Oh,
feel like that.
here's my granddaughter. She's
Right
always
on,
has to get on, and she's wearing her keffiyeh today too.
right
So
on.
okay, there you go. She's she she was let's see, about 3 or 4 months old when Doksha Hour started. So
Okay.
she's a big part of Doksha Hour. She's always, when she is a baby, always showcasing, stealing everybody's thunder.
No,
She's
that's right.
4
That's
now, so yeah. It's tomorrow tonight is supposed to be like below 10. I don't know if it's already, you said it was like that up there. It was be -4, I think, here. So
yeah, it's real good.
I don't know if you guys have that problem up there where like you only have one propane place.
Well, we have is two. We have the tribes, and then we have the local folks who will only deliver 8 to 5. And so the tribe ends up, doing a lot of like after hours runs and things like that. So
Yeah, we
CRST
just
gas, yeah.
we we were suckered, I think, back with it was PTI, and they were, giving out tanks and things like that you could lease, and it had their logo on it, and then it changed to Lakota Plains. And so it's their logo. So you know, like we have other propane people, but they can't deliver because it's not their tank.
Oh.
So
Really,
um
they control the tank. That's so crazy. Yeah, no, anyone, you can have any kind of tank and they'll fill anything down here. Mhm.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what we need.
I've had both of them fill me up. And actually, sadly, I ran out of propane last week because I'm an idiot. I was making sure everything else had propane but myself. And so anyway, luckily I could call down there and be like, hey, and they're like, yeah, whatever, Chaz. So they hooked me up. And you know, it's dangerous. I think I always worry about you know, not just us guys, but the critters, like, you know, who's you know, heating up the those guys. But you know, I think back in the day, we probably didn't do too much when it was so cold. Probably just like went in or like chilling out in the teepee, doing nothing. We didn't have to get out and take care of animals. And there's my dog. You see her in the back. That's Noopa. Noopa's she just sat down in her little spot there at my desk. Oh, you can see a little bit of her right there. She she's that Standing Rock puppy, so she's been to like three or four three front lines now. Because I had her at Sandy Rock for most of the time, and then we went to line three together, and then when the stuff was happening about Gaza, we happened to be in Denver, and so I took her down to one of those encampments down there. So she's a old time resistance dog, I like to tell her, but she's very bougie. So anyway, I got distracted by Nupa. That's what happens.
It
But
happens.
yeah, anyway, you know, but it is like you know, I always feel real bad for our homeless relatives, and you know, in Rapid City a lot. I lived in Rapid City for so long that um you know, going there every time I still feel anger every time I walk underneath any of those bridges when the city and or whoever, you know, spent all that money putting those fake rocks up and doing all this stuff so that the people can't sleep underneath the bridges. And like you know, instead of like making sure that people have houses, let's spend money on, you know, making sure that people can't sleep somewhere where they could be safe and warm. You know, that's the I think the governing principles of, you know, Washichus, which I think we're seeing like very glaringly right now and, you know, in our face. And so it's very disturbing.
Yeah, I think like we're just about ripe for protest again. Just
Well,
like
I don't think folks should be protesting because I think they're going to be throwing people in jail, and that's where they want us. And so, you know, they're I don't think that I think protest has got to be different now. I think we're already past the point of free protest. Like they've already controlled all the media, they control everything, the narratives, they've got agitators everywhere. Protest has got to be different now, I think. And so I think that, you know, we have to figure out what it's going to be. And I think, and I've always, you know, been a general strike kind of person. We should generally strike. We should fast from all of the stuff that they give us, the commercial stuff, all that stuff. Like my nephews were asking me last night about what I watch on TV. I'm like, I don't watch TV. I don't, you know, I consume my media comes from my choices. And so like I don't get programmed anymore. And I think that excuse me, I think that's what we need to be doing is really, you know, you know, fasting from their culture, which is so mean and, you know, it's embarrassing, like almost how the Trump administration is just really just doing straight up fascist stuff, and you know, the Republicans in South Dakota are just like, yeah, well, you know, I mean, like this is what they voted for, right? They voted for this and they got it and now we're under it. Great. So here we go. Here goes Medicaid. Here goes all the safety nets for our people so that, you know, Musk and Trump can, you know, what, do drugs in the White House. I mean, they're literally like, you know, they've seen Musk, and I think the other night Donald Trump was going like this, the universal signal for, you know, give me a bump. Um, that's like the kind of the way they govern anyway, right? With the drunks and the crazy people up front. So
no,
yeah.
I think um that's right. Like you have to being in it for so long. I mean, I always say that, like I've been even with the Gaza movement, freeing Palestine and all of that, like there's a lot of infiltration that occurred in that movement. And I was telling people, you got to be careful. These are what we know. You have to be careful because they could be one of your very own that they're going to use to come in and do that to you. And so I'll use an example, like on TikTok, there's this Canadian Palestinian, and his name is Ali Ramadan. And from the very first day he started his live, and he would bring all these news journalists from Gaza up on his panel, and that's all he had on his panel was the journalists in Gaza telling the news about what was happening. And pretty soon that there was a lady in there that he helped, and she moderated his chat and stuff. And pretty soon she starts speaking out against him. Like he's just about money and he's just about these things, and then telling the people who are struggling in Gaza, telling them, he's taking all this money from you guys and there's no money. Like in TikTok, you can give gifts. And he would always say, you have to give those, give the gifts to the people in the panel. I'm okay. And so she started this whole thing and just divided. So he would have like 1,600 people every day viewing his live. And he'd go for a very long time. He'd say ridiculously a long time. And he would do that. And then pretty soon he was down to like 200, 100. And then he'd be lucky if he could get 70 people. And so now he just kind of, and they like flipped the switch on him where they're saying like, he's the informant. He's the one. And I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. But I kept telling people, you got to be careful. Like I've been in this stuff for a long time. You need to know who you're trusting and who you're giving your information to.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, we know after Standing Rock that like a lot of people who say that they're leaders are not actual leaders. And white people will choose someone who be like, oh, you're a leader, and then they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm a leader. Well, who are you leading? I don't know. You're a lot of self-proclaimed leaders running around, and that's colonization, right? That's how they keep us chaotic, keep us chaotic, keep us unable to ourselves unable to figure out who is actually telling the truth and who is not. The disinformation is crazy. And you and I have been around for a long time. We've been doing this stuff for so long that like we've seen multiple different wars and pipelines and all of these things, and the different people who sort of you know appear around them, and then like all of a sudden like, well, oh, they were this was a person has been a water protector for a long time. I'm like, oh really, who are they? I've never seen them. There's only so many of us Lakotas, and we know each other and who have been doing this for a long time. And so when folks who are are working, like I see a lot of that with the Keystone Pipeline. A lot of people out there going, I stopped the Keystone Pipeline. I'm like, oh, really? When was that? Who are you? And where's your, oh, like, however, I actually was reading this really great book, and I was going to tell folks about it. It's called The Civil Resistance by this professor named Erica Chenoweth. I just finished it on Audible. It's a brilliant book. I think, I've been, you and I saw each other at a recently, and I've been thinking and really like my the constant reoccurring thought for me is, how can we as Lakota people survive? How are we going to continue to survive all the time? And as Lakota people, because I think that a lot of people think that being Lakota is as having an enrollment number, and I'm enrolled, I'm Indian, and so I can do whatever, no, being Lakota is hard. Like you have to be generous, you have to think about the people, you have to be in relationship with each other, with people in a good way. You can't be like stomping your way around. That's what Washichus do. Washichus stomp their way around and make their, rah, 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 rah. Whenever anything gets done around Indian countries, because people are rah, 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 stomping around. And I always, for me, one of the things that I sort of my um thinking is that if we're attacking our own people, then we're colonized, and I don't even want to listen to you no more. So if you think that, the Ryman LeBeau is the problem, if as the chief, as the chairman of Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, as I don't even know who's the chairman down at Pine Ridge. I don't pay attention, I haven't paid attention down there. Who's your chairman?
Comes out as our president.
Oh, okay, yeah. So if you think that guy's the problem, no. That's then you have a simple version of understanding of the world, and I don't even want to listen to you. And I think folks like that like come into rooms and really, stop conversations, stop forward progress. People who are blaming our each other, it's the blame game, and those people are very toxic, and shouldn't be involved, I think, in any kind of decision making. I think if you think that, our people are the problem, no matter what if it's, us at the, grocery store, or, us, as big, land lease owners with a lot of cattle, if you think those people are the problem, then you don't really understand the situation. I think those, a lot of our people like to demonize each other, and because that's what they want us to do. But a lot of our families who are, half breeds like myself, all these people who talk about that, you know, they do what they have to do to get along, and I think that we can't be blamed for capitalism. We can't be blamed for poverty because we have white faces, or we're educated, or we read books, all this stuff. Folks tend to just blame each other, and that gets us where we're at, in a shit pot, and I'm tired of sitting in that shit pot. So I think, since the nation is in a shit pot right now with Donald Trump, I think in a lot of ways it's a great opportunity for us as Lakota people to be like, hey, we're going to survive no matter what. We're gonna survive. I'm gonna survive. My camper that I live in is solar. I can freaking survive and whatever. And I don't have a gun, but I know people who have guns. So if it comes down to that, I could do that. But I'm gonna survive. Our people are gonna survive. Are the people who are, dependent upon this administration gonna survive? Probably not. And I think that's what's happening. So anyway, I know I've just been talking for a long time about, I guess you asked a good question because I haven't stopped talking. And but I think that I think about these things a lot because I'm an organizer, and I haven't been able to organize. You said the last time I saw you, like where you been, Chaz? Like I've been like in my head and in my heart and in my spirit trying to figure shit out after Standing Rock. It was very I went like full blown PTSD up there. And and so that was a whole journey for me too. I think as an organizer, figuring out, what is PTSD, and why do so many of our people have it, and what is it, how does it make our lives different? And for me, it's CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic syndrome, or whatever. It's like, because so when you have CPTSD, it's like you're kind of neurodivergent, and without having, being neurodivergent, but like it's because your trauma happens at such an early age that a lot of times when you have traumatic experiences, you blame yourself. And so that's what CPTSD is, that and what I've been figuring out is that you sort of blame yourself. And so I think that's, since then I've sort of come around. I was a Democrat last time you saw me. Now no, I was an independent. Probably I haven't been really a Democrat for a long time. But now, and then I was a communist for a while, and now I think I'm a total anarchist, because I think anarchy is the way we used to do it, small little city states and just taking care of each other. And, the now how they do it is like, it's different, so anyway, ask me a question, I guess, because I'm just talking this whole hour.
That's what we do. We just talk.
Okay, okay, because I just go on.
So, you brought it up. So now I want to talk about it. The last time we had met, you were on a panel and you did this great conversation about anarchy and about the language and about all of that. And I would like you to talk about that.
Well, I had just been listening to this really brilliant book by David Graeber, who is like kind of my intellectual hero recently. David Graeber, I just found him, and he's been dead since 2013. So great, find a guy, but he's left just this amazing amount of work. And he wrote this book called Debt, and just talks about capitalism in a different way. And for me, I wanted to give that book Debt to the whole council, but I'm very poor, so I can't I can't afford to do that. But one day I'll maybe write a grant and give it to all of our councils, because people need to understand that this is like a made up thing, right? Like money's made up. We don't have to do things like that. Even, bartering is a, capitalism itself is, everything's a tool, right? Everything's a tool. Ideas are tools. These things are tools. We can use them to benefit ourselves, or we can use them to benefit the people. And unfortunately for us, a lot of times all the tools get put into the wrong hands. And so the people who benefit themselves get it, and then the people get what's left for, whatever their family don't take up. And that's the way it's been running since the get-go. And I have complicated things are complicated in Indian countries, so I think that sometimes nepotism is necessary. But only if folks are competent, right? The problem in Indian country is not lack of resources, it's lack of human resources, folks who are competent, who are able to, make decisions. So many of our people are in that place where we talked about, in that CPTSD state, where we need to care. We need care. We can't be expecting these folks who are living on the wall. Up here, we have this place where they say live on the wall. It's like where all the homeless people hang, and they live on the wall. And so that's what I started my news program. It's called Off the Wall News, because it's news and information to get our people off the wall. Because that's what I care about, is like, we didn't cause capitalism. We didn't cause poverty. We don't have to stay in it. Anarchy and all these words that we've been programmed to believe to be true, like socialism and all these enemies. The enemy is the state. Hello, we are prisoners. It still happened. We're still enemies with the United States, and yet somehow we always end up electing folks who think that the Great White Father is going to save us. And now the White Father is, orange, and he's literally, I guess defecating everywhere. And that's what that's what they talk about. Yeah, that's what happens. And good for them, all the Republicans, to have to clean that shit up. So good for you to have to walk around with diapers and cleaning up shit after an ugly, graper. I say graper because that's what you have to say on TikTok. And if you say raper, then you get banned. But we're not on TikTok, right? So yeah, the graper. Anyway,
You
I
have to
did
use
call.
all kinds of code talk on TikTok.
Yeah, so much code talk. It's like you have to be able to and that's the world, right? There's so many people, there's so many code talk. You have to be able to figure out who are you speaking to, who do you know? I don't spend too much time talking to boomers anymore, because frankly, I'm not scared all the time. I'm not afraid of everything. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. I'm not afraid of of us. We're already off the precipice, right? We're already off that place where we can fix what's happened with climate change. We just have to adapt now. We have to get our people to a place where we can adapt. We have to, take care of our people so that they're not on the wall. We have all these, conversations. I think we just banned liquor here, and or some kind of liquor, malt liquor here in Cheyenne River. And I'm not for banning anything. I was down there when they had the you guys don't have liquor there in Pine Ridge, but I was down in White Clay, and I know that that the people bring it in anyway. And so for banning, for me, is like we're giving up personal liberal choice, right? And if people want to choose to be in a place of liquor and all that stuff, do live in that lifestyle, that's their choice, I guess, but or not like that. I mean, that's what we're doing, is we're taking that choice away for people, but we're not giving them alternatives. We're not giving them a sweat lodge that they can go to and pray. We're not giving them help when they need to buy diapers. We're not giving, we expect our people to be able to survive impoverished conditions, generation after generation, with no support and shame from all of us who have made it out. You get a job, you all these people, that's the mentality. I don't want to take care of you and your lazy families. And I mean, that's, our people are ugly to each other. And so that's really hard. It's really hard for me to be home and to have to see that a lot, because I was always in the city and or in Rapid City, and like, able to seclude myself. But now, everywhere I go, it's Indians, right? We all got to be here together. And a lot of us, consider it to be a stink pot. Me, not really. I really like being home. I'm really happy to be home. I've been the happiest of my life working now with the radio station. It's really great work. I'm a pretty good manager, so I'm okay. I can do that. And we have to survive by writing grants. That's kind of the way we have figured out to survive. And so we're getting to do that. So it's we're figuring it out, and it's good stuff. I love it. I mean, I really do. I love it. I love being able to help people find stability. My director of sales was in the life before she got this job. And I've watched her. She's had two kids since she's been here. So it's been a couple of years, but she is so responsible and qualified and talented. And she's got 9 kids or so she's taking care of. That's a huge responsibility for her to to be able to do that and take care of all of this, and she does it really well. And I think a lot of our people do things like that, amazing like feats of surviving in these impoverished conditions. And anyway, I think that we don't have to stay there. And so that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm still like, kicking around and trying to make change, is because we don't have to stay here. I'm a dreamer, and I'm not going to stop, even though I'm old now. I'm 53, or no, 52 now. Wait, how old am I? No, I'll be 53 this year. And so my sister's birthday, my older sister's birthday, she is 55. She's 2 years older than I am. And so I'm still here, and I'm still happy, and I still think that our people are can do it. And so I did invite you to a meeting. You're coming up. I'm going to send you that afterward. We're having on March 1st, for everyone is invited to come. I think that like I said, we ideas are tools, and we got to just use the right ones.
Chaz, you're throwing those numbers out there like that. It makes me think about how long it's been since we've known each other. And we're almost I think I was in my 30s when we met. So we were in our 30s when we met, and we started organizing together, doing things. I think it was the first thing that they did with trying with abortion, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2006 or 2000, that's when I started in the legislature, I think. And, I always say, hey, McGraw, I always say that Christy Nome and I started at the kind of the same year because when she got elected that first year at the legislature was when I started for the Sierra Club. And so I started paying attention to the legislature then. So that was around 2002. So yeah, I've been doing it since then. Like you can imagine, like she was an incoming legislator. Now she's the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and or whatever the heck she is. And I was just thinking about this the other day, actually. It's very, very telling about our politicians right now. I mean, look at them. They're all career politicians. John Thune was a staffer for Abner, and he learned how to do the system. And I would argue, and people who would pay attention to politics would argue that the beginning of the right wing fanatics started here in 2004 in that election with Daschle and Thune. I was at the in our office at the Native Votes, and we were coming out, probably heading to the bar because I was crazy back then. I don't drink no more, but heading to the bar, and we walked out, and there was a whole freaking mob of people outside of Daschle's office screaming with freaking with lanterns and all that stuff. That was in 2004. That was before all the stuff in Charlottesville, all the stuff, all the stuff. It's 2004, South Dakota. And John Thune had 100 people outside of Daschle's office with a mob. And a lot of people in South Dakota didn't know about that because all the people Tom Daschle had working for him were from outside of the state. So they couldn't go home and be like, Mom, we have a mob outside of us, help. But they couldn't call their moms because their moms were in Ohio or wherever the hell they were from. And but I talked about that, and I saw that for what it was, which was it was state bullying, and it has been ever since. Like, the right wing conspiracy is I think the last bastion of that white supremacy, that colonization, that stuff. And that's not going to go away. I don't know how America's going to deal with it. And actually, I don't care. Like, I used to care so much, but now I really just care about, organizing our people and getting our people onto a path that's going to keep us and help us survive. Like, I mean, I really honestly, South Dakota and United States, I mean, good luck to them. They had a great run. Good luck to them. And hopefully they'll figure it out. But I really have gone hyper local, and I've just been like, really, like, I need to care about, here Eagle Butte. I need to care about the, Whitehorse, where I'm from. I need to care about, what's happening here. What if the grid goes down? Do we have insulin? Do we have food? Do we have eggs? All of these things. I think people here are asking those questions. And I'm inviting you to come up and to have that sort of greater conversation for the Great Sioux Nation. And I changed that meeting thanks to Madonna, who was also at that where I saw you last at the Madonna Thunderhawk. She said, I don't know why you young people are always calling yourselves four bands, because I was like, hyper local, we're gonna go four bands. And she said, I don't know why young people are always thinking that you're not the Great Sioux Nation, because that is our legal name with the United States, And so, we're not from Eagle Butte. We're not from, Kyle. We are Lakotas. We are Minikoju Lakotas. That's what I am. I'm a Minikoju. And our people don't have to be stuck in those old I think frameworks. And I think that now we're at a generational place where I didn't go to boarding schools. I had a lot of violence that came from boarding schools and all that other stuff. I didn't go to boarding schools, and the generations underneath me or coming after me, they didn't either. So we have all these generations of Lakotas now that have strong hearts and who are able to see the truth. And our people are able to see the truth if you show it to them. They make good decisions. And that's why everyone thinks that we all that we're following a leader. And we don't follow leaders, Lakota people. We are our own leaders, and we make our own decisions. And those of us who can do those of us who can't, are CPSD, PTSD, are in addiction, are in, vulnerable situations. And, there's a not a, there's a few, very few of us who are able to dream, right? And so those of us who are able to have dream and have these conversations, I think it's our responsibility. So that's why I'm here with you.
Yeah, it's I think about my own journey in this too, like I've eventually come to that same place you're at. It's like I tried running for office, and that's it's real difficult. Like it was really hard for me when I ran in 2018 after the Bernie stuff, and I said I'm going to run for office. And so I decided to run for office. And in that process, I just went out, did my campaigning, talking to people, and then the realization that it isn't that Washichu out there that was gunning for me. It was our very own people, you know, and it was a difference in political view. So I'm a like I'm a considered myself, I guess, a socialist Democrat. I was a Bernie sister.
Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah, right.
Bernie niece.
Mhm.
And then just to see that, like the rest of how the Democrats really do control Indian country and the mindset of Indian country. And that was really unflattering to me. And so I'm not a Democrat anymore either. I did the mail-in stuff to change. So I finally did it. I had to renew my driver's license. So I did it there. Like I got out. I'm like, I'm an independent. I'm not you.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, I mean, it is, you have to understand, have to understand what the policies are. Like, it's not about personality. And so many times the Democrats have just, I mean, look what they're doing now. Nothing, because they're not in charge. Well, they were in charge. And what did they do? Nothing. They had Obama had, all three of the houses. He could have done exactly what Trump is doing, but he did nothing. He made himself richer, and all the people around Obama made themselves richer. It's all just a game for them. And I'm tired of being around people who think the people are stupid, because I'm the people and I'm not stupid. And so if you think that people are stupid, a lot of those people do. And I met you through doing politics, like I said, so I started organizing in 2004. And so since then, I've been at the legislature, paying attention, doing whoever, whatever in South Dakota, and beyond the Northern Great Plains a little bit. I pay attention to everything. This year I was able to go to a grassroots convening of folks like us who do the native vote in a lot of different states, and it was really awesome, done by the Western Native vote people. It's and let me say something about them. Like, just because I'm so opposed to working on that doesn't mean I don't think we shouldn't pay attention. In Montana, they have reciprocity over there. They have, 13 Indians in the legislature, some of them from non-Indian seats. And how they got that was because they had some Democrats and some people who had resources, and they sued. They sued the state for the districts. I've been saying to everyone I've talked to in South Dakota politics for the last 20 years, let's sue. Do you know how much money we've spent on the native vote 3 days before the election? Millions of dollars. That's what they care about. The Democrats, they care about getting South to vote. They don't want things to be fair. They just want to win the next election. And so that's how they think. And so I don't want to, I don't, yeah, my dad was a Republican. My dad was a Goldwater Republican. And so I spent a lot of time, figuring out parties and differences and philosophies. And so we have to do that for ourselves. And a lot of our people don't have the time or opportunity, Maggie, right? So they just trust what smart people say, and they say, so if your chairman is saying, we're voting Democrat, we're voting Democrat, and that should be the way it should be. but I'm not gonna be a part of just giving Democrats anything, nothing. I'm not gonna be a part of giving anyone anything anymore. In order for you to get me, you have to, be doing things that I align with principally, right? Like the principles of what I value. And because I don't go around, people that drink and do all that kind of like posturing for power with white people. Like that's just ridiculous anymore. You know what I mean? It's like the parties never change and things just keep getting worse for our people. So we got to give up everything, I think. Take from them, right? Sitting Bull said, and make our people live. And so I think we're at that point now where the younger folks aren't like satisfied with the politics of generational family wealth transfers here on the res, which has been happening ever since. And that kind of inequality is entrenched in the systems. And if you don't see that the systems as the enemies, then you might be the enemy. Right? If you think everything's great in America, don't, get into a conversation with me. And if you think that, our military and all of these things are being used with integrity and our resources are being used with integrity, then show me. Because what I see is like us contributing to, rubble and making humans, turning humans into rubble, like what they did with us. It's just happening everywhere and it hasn't stopped. And so if that's the kind of empire you want to be a part of, that's and a lot of people are too. A lot of our people don't like have the wherewithal to think these thoughts, Maggie. I mean, that's the thing. The true is like most people are worried about where they're going to sleep tonight, where they're going to eat, where they're going to do all that stuff. They don't have time to sit around and think about philosophy. It's a sad thing.
I think too, like people, because we are not stable, that the whole system feeds off of that. And so even now, like everybody's scared, like you said, oh, Trump is in Project 2025. Oh, you guys, because you didn't vote or you voted for this or whatever. And I tell people in South Dakota, we do not have enough people to not vote. Like we don't have the capability of voting out Republicans without Republicans' help. So our vote is basically nothing for the electoral college. So we focus on the down ballot, trying to get those things done. Um, but yeah, it's like there's a lot of people who want to blame, but then they're also taking advantage. So like you said, where was Obama with his ratification or codification of Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, right. Obama could have let Peltier out too. Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
Obama, everyone's all like, "Oh, Obama's so great. Let me be one of his team." Well, what did he do that was so great? That was his pipeline. We fought at Sandy Rock. Everyone's all, that's his pipeline, that fast tracked right through there. That was his pipeline. So he's not that great. And if you think he is, then you're wrong. And I don't trust your judgment. And so that's what a lot of times I don't trust their judgment. A lot of people, a lot of our tribal politicians who are involved in the Democratic politics, I don't trust their judgment. I don't trust the folks that they run around with. I don't trust their hearts. I think that their hearts are wrong. I think that it's not good for us. And I'm not coming about that judgy and like, coming about that in a way where, oh, I'm better than you because I, have thought about these things. No, I think that a lot of people only have the time and the energy to investigate and to figure this out. I mean, very few of us have that time and energy to be able to do this. My dad sort of started me out on this progress back when I was like 9, and it's what made me give my first speech in front of tribal council. And he said, "My girl, whatever you say the truth." And so for me, my life has been seeking the truth. Like, what is the truth of the situation? Am I helping? Am I hurting? And we have whole industries taking advantage of our poverty. I mean, think about the nonprofit industry. I mean, a lot of people have been generationally taking advantage of the fact that we're poor. A lot of people live very good lives on our poverty. The lot of you, we can name them, all the nonprofits in the communities that have multiple vehicles, or like, oh, we don't deal with things with the tribe because the tribe is so dysfunctional. And they always like, oh, let's streamline it, but going the nonprofit way. Okay, well, so you're just benefiting off of the chaos rather than helping figure the chaos off, rather than creating some kind of environment that creates an opportunity for us to share and for us to care for each other. You're just jumping in to get your piece of the pie. And that's what it is. And so that's what a lot of times our leaders are folks like that who make decisions based on their own bottom line. I don't try not to judge, because I'm, like I said, I've been very privileged. I've had the opportunity to sit and think a lot, and so I don't have kids that have to be fed or grandkids that need to be taken care of. I can just sit and think all these things. And so but other people, I just give in, I think, to the system the way it is and are just happy. And so I've been taught that, I'm Lakota first. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a United States citizen. I don't, and I'm Lakota. And so as a Lakota, the United States is embarrassing. Like, I'm embarrassed by it. I'm embarrassed by every little bit of it. The whole system is broken and it's horrifying. Our people are, last year we had a kid that was attacked by a, pack of dogs and killed. And, we're living in impoverished generational situations that are just horrific, horrific. And if you're not, willing to, take off your jacket and give it to the dude like down on the street if you don't have one, then we don't see the world in the same way. I have been very fortunate and have been my whole life been supported by my family and my dad, and my dad's been gone for 20 years now, but I still like live according to those values, which is, you know, we guys got to take care of each other. And when we're in trouble, bunch up. I think that's what we did during the pandemic. We sort of bunched up and we sort of took care of each other. We tried to keep the state of South Dakota out, but it didn't work, and like we're finding out, like, it's all just a game. Like, there's no real care for health, no real care for, health. It's disease care. We just want to they're just trying to protect themselves. Like, if they're worried about it, not because our people are dying, which they are every day, of like all kinds of like health disparities, which are just out of control. One of the highest being, and always has been for the last like 20 years, has been autoimmune diseases. Our people die in the Northern Great Plains. Indian women die with autoimmune diseases. Our bodies are killing ourselves. Our systems, the foods that we're eating, the stuff that we're taking in, it's killing us. And because it's an unnatural system. Like, for us to not care for another person's hungry child is unnatural. And so living in an unnatural situation is crazy. And so that gets to you. So anyway, I can't think about it too much, because I'll get depressed, and this is a really hard time for me with the winter and this whole sad stuff. So I try to
Yeah.
keep things.
I think there's this like the empowerment, and I have to, like, sometimes I'll have to just disconnect and take some time to like regroup, try to do self-care, try to do those things. I there was a time, like, I just went to teaching. I just went to the classroom and taught kids, and talked about being Lakota, and tried to teach them as much factual information about who they are and who our ancestors were. So that's what I tried to do, or that's what I did for quite a few years. And and then I slowly, like, I transitioned. I was up there in Eagle Butte. teaching at the high school up there. And just like my mom was really struggling with her health, and she was wanting me to come home. And so I applied at OLC and moved home, and helping take care of my mom and getting into those things at OLC. And then I was disheartened because I'm like, man, it's colonized everywhere. It's like you have to shatter colonization from elementary education, high school education, and at the college level. And we are, OLC is supposed to be a tribal college, but there's a lot of colonization, Western thought, all of that ingrained in, and you're trying to break out of those molds, and a lot of times get myself in trouble, but I would do it anyways, and try to engage with students, and try to, like, hey, like, we got to start thinking for ourselves. Nobody's going to save us. Nobody's going to save us. We can only save ourselves. And so we have to learn how to do that. But it was difficult. And so being in all of those levels of trying to turn the tables, to disrupt the system, is really hard, because some of our own people are so ingrained in it. And then so it becomes these personality things, right? It's like Donald Trump's version of, how he was gaslighting everybody. So then we have tribal council doing that, gaslighting everybody. And, so then their minions or whatever, they'll come running, whatever. So there'd be times like on Facebook, I got off that place, but
yeah, me too.
I'd have to privatize everything on my account, because I didn't know who it would be. They'd be taking screenshots of anything that I said, and the next thing you know, they're sending, a complaint or whatever. Like, you couldn't say anything. And so it took me a while. I had planned to get off Facebook several years ago, but then we started Toksa Hour there on Facebook, doing the live, because that's where everybody is on Facebook. And then I just came to a place for me, like, I don't want to do Facebook. I don't even want to, so I work and it isn't a full-fledged, we transferred to YouTube. I'm still uploading some of the videos from our Facebook page. Everything that I'm associated with on Facebook is deleted. And so trying to move that and figure out ways in which we can still have a conversation. YouTube is more shareable throughout the systems, right? Like, you can share a YouTube video to Facebook, to Instagram, to wherever, you can share that, and people would be able to watch. But Facebook, you couldn't, because you have to be a part of their platform. And
that's
so,
right. And Facebook is our people are there so much, and it really is like the place to see people, but also it's a place to deceive people, because a lot of people that they act like they're all like, real tradition, humble, but are just doing that for likes, and they're actual predators, and like people who are taking advantage of non-Indians, because non-Indians don't know who's who, and so they just pretend in it, whatever, and that's a sickness, it's the capitalism, and our people. I tend to not get too upset about people who are taking money from white people. Whatever, if you're a shaman, that's fine, I guess. You're okay, you're a shaman, but if you need to feed your kids, right? But like, I do think that also, though, those people you can't trust, because they'll do anything for cash. And so, like, what motivates them? A lot of people that I hung out with and have organized with over the last 20 years in my life, they don't they're not they don't go to the chairman to get gas money to go to events, right? That we take care of ourselves. We get there because we want to go to it, right? We're not like there's also, like, I think a part of our politics that really depends on giving cash out to people so they get votes. And we have to say that. And that's true. Like how many people are supported by that way. Oh, I need some cash. I'll go to the council person. They'll give it to me or they won't get my vote. Well, that's like, oh, gross. Like, I mean, so that's what you're making your decisions on, like stuff like that. And it's right. People are doing that. And, it's in the patriarchy, how many predators are in office, how many women, men who have, been with multiple women. And, I saw the other day that, one of um, the women politicians, well, it's not the other day. It's like, then I was like so done with Facebook because people don't understand. Like they were sharing something from a really misogynistic, like, woman hater up here, a politician up here. One other a woman, an Ogallala woman, shared a page of this guy saying, "Oh, he's so great." Really? Like you don't have any idea who this man is. He's like he's a woman, he's slept with 17 women and then got mad because one of them slapped his face. And I'm not saying that, but like, men like that, like, and it's like like we don't like superficiality. Like there's so much, it's so fake. Like, and that's why I got off of Facebook because I got on there because I'm an organizer. It's where the people are. It's but now it's become just a spectacle and it's like fake. One of the people that I ran with after Standing Rock, she literally had a freaking uh a light that she would like put on herself so when she was doing her live so she would look better. And I was like, what? The whole like process, I had no idea what she was doing, and she was doing like a whole photo shoot, and I was like, that she's this is how she's. I'm like, how are we supposed to be like saving the planet when we're like, this, crafting it that much, and that's that thing. You can craft any kind of message, but people know authentic people. If it's not your words, if it's not your heart, people know it, and that's why this politics of the United States and in South Dakota. And we're almost done here because I do have to go at the end of the 10 o'clock. It's almost an hour. I've been talking to you, but like it's authenticity. A lot of people like they can't be authentic. We can't be authentic because if we were authentic, we'd be pissed all the time. We'd try to punch people all the time. Like we can't be authentic, and so we've pushed that down so much. And so and in capitalism, you can't be authentic because in white supremacy, you can't be authentic because if you're queer, you're already marginalized. All this stuff. Like there's all these like you have to be or look like this kind of Indian in order to do this. You have to, you have to have that ribbon skirt wearing and doing all that stuff. You have to be doing ceremonies. You have to publicly be doing it. And so a lot of that time, I stopped, even respecting a lot of organizations that use prayer and ceremony and organizing. Get that out of there. It's two different things. If you can't organize and without a ceremony, without a very public ceremony, you're not organizing. It's like there anyway. We've talked about so much, and I appreciate it so much. And because me, I love ideas, I love conversation, I love challenging folks. But I'm so complicated that I tend to not do these things. I tend to not like to visit around because the more I say, the more people are like, "Oh my God, what did she even say?" And you know what I mean? I know. So it's like, oh no. But thank you.
Chaz, um, I want you to know that Doksha Hour gives you an open door invitation anytime you want to come on and visit, talk about things that are going on. We'd love to have you. Just keep in touch. And for those of you, we didn't do the proper invitation. We just kind of jumped into the show. But Chas Jewett is from Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. And she has been a political and environmental activist for Dona years.
Old half my life, I guess. So
So thank you, Chaz, and we wish
thank you, Maggie.
you warmth, and we'll see you in March.
See you in a couple weeks. We'll see you in a couple
Yeah,
weeks. All right.
yeah,
Thank you so much,
crazy.
everyone. Yeah.
So that was Chaz. Thank you guys for sticking with us through that. I did want to just kind of close up Doksha Hour with a couple things. If you did not know, RFK Jr. has been confirmed as the Health and Human Services Secretary. And in the process of the mass terminations, layoffs, whatever had happened on Friday, RFK Jr. rescinded the Indian Health Service layoffs. And so the many people that were being laid off, terminated in Indian Health Service has been rescinded. It says that notification that all IHS layoffs had been halted came an hour or two later on Kennedy's second day as health secretary. He was sworn in on Thursday, February 13, as alerts about the impending layoffs affecting tribal programs were being distributed. Officials with Health and Human Services did not respond to requests from Indian Country Today for comments. Health and Human Services oversees the Indian Health Service and is apparently part of a Trump administration shutdown on outgoing communications. So there was about 2,000, I think, employees that were originally laid off. And so the issue with what is going on with the layoffs is we are people often forget, or maybe they just don't know, but tribes are not the same as other groups. We are a political entity in itself. We all are recognized in one treaty or another. And so there's been conversation about Trump being an originalist, or many of the people around the Project 2025 being originalist. And an originalist talks about the Constitution in its original form. They don't care for the amendments. They don't care for any of those things. So they're originalists. And so what in the original Constitution, if we are originalists, then we would have to acknowledge that Indian people are mentioned in 3 different places in the Constitution, 2 in the actual Constitution, and the 3rd would be in the 14th Amendment. But if we weren't doing any amendments, we are in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. And then that's just mentioning Indians. So Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 says this clause, also known as the 3/5 Compromise, excludes Indians not taxed from the counts for appropriate apportioning direct taxes and representatives to Congress among the states. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, this is the Commerce Clause, which grants Congress the power to regulate commerce with Indian tribes, basically. And then so those would be 2 in Article 1. And then in Article 2, we have Section 2, Clause 2, the Treaty Clause. This clause grants the president the power to make treaties with the advice and consent of the Senate, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. This clause establishes that the president is the primary negotiator of treaties, but requires significant Senate approval for ratification. And then Article 6, Clause 2, this clause establishes that treaties made under the authority of the United States, along with the Constitution and federal laws, are the supreme law of the land. This means that treaties have the same binding force as federal statutes, and they override state laws and constitutions. And so we know that we are ingrained within the Constitution. And so when people are trying to make these arguments about who or whatever, like Trump tried to undo us with the birth, I can't even remember what it was called, but saying that birthright citizenship, trying to undo that, and the courts shot him down, told him, no, you're violating the Constitution. If you want to change that, you need to go back and do it the proper way in amending. And so if he's going to amend, then he's probably not really an originalist. But I just wanted to say that so IHS looks like it's going to be back functioning, and we should be very concerned in watching these things. We should be reaching out to our tribal council people, because John Thune, Mike Rounds, nor Dusty Johnson could care for the Ikjewi Chasha and Ikjewi voice. They only want to hear from our elected officials. So every one of our council representatives, our tribal president, vice president, all of them need to be talking to and exerting and fighting for our health care, and the issues thereof we will end up in a very bad situation because we have so many contracts. Most of our Indian Health Service emergency rooms are contracted with outside entities. So if this went through, our emergency rooms would be shut down. We have doctors and nurses on rotation, those positions, and then we have oftentimes we have CEOs that want to fire everybody in Indian Health Service. So then those positions are froze. And so we could be in a place where we just have a empty building. And so people need to be aware of it and be active and involved and engaged. So thank you for sticking with me for the last bit of this conversation. I want to wish you guys a good and happy Sunday. Let's see. Last week I was my birthday on Monday, and so I had a pretty good day. Valentine's Day was on Friday, so happy belated Valentine's to everybody out there that celebrate Valentine's Day. And tomorrow is President's Day, so those of you that celebrate President's Day, happy President's Day. And I will have to see what I'm going to do next week with Toksa Hour, because I will be on travel with so I'll have to see, because I'm expected to fly home on Sunday, so we'll see. Anyways,